Hello, beautiful souls. I'm so happy to have you here. I'm so happy to be here with you. Today, I want to talk to you guys about my own spiritual awakening and how that started for me and how it really changed my life because I feel that many starseeds, many light workers, many of us are going through this process and we don't really know what to expect, what is normal, quote unquote. There is no such thing. But we kind of go hard on ourselves when we feel like things aren't progressing fast enough. But as I have been doing a lot of looking back and really taking a bird's eye view, an overall view at my journey, and looking at how far I've come, I am in awe of my own process and seeing how every single piece led to the next. And so I really want to share that with you guys today in hopes that my personal story, my personal journey, giving you the full picture will help bring you some peace and some clarity as you're moving through your journey. And maybe you can start looking at it from a bird's eye view to see how much you are growing, how much you are evolving, and how much each little piece really has to play in the big picture. So for me, this story, I'm kind of going to tell it like a story because this is my story. And my story for today is going to start around the time I was in college, particularly around my sophomore year of college. I was in my sophomore year of college, I was dating someone that I had been dating since high school. And I truly loved this person. I felt so at home with this person. And I, being however, let's see, how old would I have been? I think I would have been like 19 or 20 years old. I think 20 years old. Being around 20 years old, I really thought that this is the love of my life. I'm going to marry this guy. I'm going to have the most beautiful life, which equals getting married, having kids, settling down, yada yada. Well, during my sophomore year of college, it was a really big and difficult year for me. Really, the first 2 years of my college experience were pretty difficult. I went through a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. I was really hard on myself due to some perfectionist tendencies. And this guy was my rock. He was always there for me, whatever I needed, whether it be classes, whether it be physically taking care of me, whether it be mentally, emotionally. He was just always there, and he was my rock, the one that I really relied on the most heavily. And so when it came to second semester sophomore year, I was going through the most intense anxiety and depression that I have ever experienced, and I'm sure maybe I ever will experience in this human lifetime, because I truly did not have the tools that I do now to work through these emotions, work through these feelings. So it was getting so intense that I would go over to his apartment. I mean, we were always with each other constantly. And when I would go over there, I would, even in my own, but when I would go over there, I would get so anxious, and these emotions, these energies would overtake me where I would just sit and shake and cry. And I have memories of like literally curled up in his closet, just crying uncontrollably, and I didn't know why. Or so I said. I said I didn't know why. And now looking back, and even, I mean, I realized this pretty soon, but I was going through a lot of anxiety, a lot of uncomfortable emotions and feelings because there was an internal gut feeling coming up within me. And it was surfacing and trying to get my attention, but I was ignoring it. And that gut feeling was saying that I needed to end this relationship. Now, I told you guys, I absolutely loved this person. I felt so safe with him. He was perfect. He checked all my boxes, if you want to use that lingo, of what I would look for in a partner. And nothing had happened. Everything was going great. We were in love with each other. Like, it was really a great relationship, and anyone looking from the outside in would say like, wow, they are just such the perfect couple. um, and so it didn't make sense to my logical mind why I would be having this strange gut feeling. And so, of course, I was trying to ignore it and tell myself, you're crazy. I don't know where that's coming from. And I also didn't even fully tune into it to even give it my attention. So I was always kind of ignoring it, keeping it on the far sideline. It was in the back of my mind for some reason. I had no idea why, but I was like, this cannot be true. This cannot be something that's actually for me to investigate. This just must be a fear or a worry or a distant, like, what if thought. But it kept coming and kept coming, and it wouldn't let up. It was like, the more I ignored it, the more my anxiety and my depression would get worse. And I wasn't putting the two and two together. I thought, I need this person to help me escape my anxiety, to help me escape my depression. I need this guy to help me be happy. I need this guy to help me feel love. I need this guy to help make all the bad stuff go away. If I just love him and am with him and am so engulfed in our love, then all the hard stuff, all the uncomfortable stuff will just disappear, right? That's how my 20-year-old brain was working. And this went on for months and months and months. And it actually started this with a combination of the anxiety and depression and pressure that I was putting on myself in the academic realm. The two put together were starting to manifest into my physical body. So I was starting to physically get weaker and physically have a lot of health things arise, and I felt so low. I felt like life sucks. Like, I can't escape this dreary reality that I am in, but my life is so good. Like, if you look at it on paper, my life is amazing. So why am I feeling so crappy and so almost like dark inside? And this is something that I struggled with, like I said, for months and months and months. And it got to the point where I was home on Christmas break my sophomore year of college. So this was like the halfway point of sophomore year. And I fell down onto the ground in my parents' kitchen and I started sobbing uncontrollably. And my mom was there. And she was like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And it was the first time, I'm getting chills even as I say this because it's so huge in my journey. It was the first time that I verbalized out loud that I have to break up with this guy. And she was like, "What? What happened? Like, what's going on?" And I was like, "Nothing. That's the crappiest part of it all. I have no idea why. Nothing has happened. Nothing has went wrong. He didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. I still love him." And so it made no logical sense to me. But when I said those words, it allowed my body to relax just a little bit. It was like a small sigh of relief that I had even verbalized it to someone, because up until this point, I was battling this within myself every single day for months and months and months, thinking that this is crazy. Why is this coming up within me? But also, it's not going away. And it's in my gut and it's manifesting into my physical reality, and I cannot go on. I physically cannot go on, because how energy works is if you ignore it when it's in your energetic body or your emotional body, it's going to keep coming, keep coming, keep coming, keep coming until it manifests into your physical body. And that's the last place that it manifests, because as humans, that's the place where we physically see it. But our guides are hoping that they can send us the message through our energetic body, through our spiritual body, so that we don't have to manifest it as a physical illness or ailment or something that takes a lot longer to heal. But I had ignored it for so long that now my physical body was paying the toll, and I was seeing it in front of me that I cannot go on without doing this thing. So I did it. I had to tell him like that we have to end this. It was arguably one of the hardest things that I've ever had to physically do. Like, I had to go do it. It's not like I got broken up with and then I just had to grieve afterwards. That is so much easier. I've been through that as well. But when you have to put your guidance into action, sometimes it's really scary and it really is uncomfortable, but I could not ignore it and I had to do it in order to move forward. So I did that, and it was the most untraditional breakup that I think anyone will have ever experienced or witnessed. We remained friends for a very long time, and still nothing ever happened that made us not be friends. We just kind of like slowly moved on into our own timelines. But that was the catalyst for my deeper awakening. Now, I grew up in a very spiritually aware family. I've always known about God and the God within us and how we were all made up of the same oneness. I'm very connected to my prayer, and I just have a very deeply rooted spiritual background, which I'm not going to go into in this video, but I was blessed with two loving parents who really educated me on the dimensions beyond the 3D. And this was my personal awakening where I had a click, I had an aha that led me down my path. It wasn't something that I was birthed into. So after I broke up with this guy and I moved into this new timeline of being single, a lot of things started surfacing for me. And one of the most notable was my fear of being alone. Now, this sounds so crazy to say now, looking at where I'm at, but I could not stand to be alone for more than a few hours, if that. And it was so crazy that even when I was in college, freshman, sophomore year, living in the dorms, when my roommate would go home, I would go to my boyfriend's house. Or if my roommate was going to be gone for a couple days, I would go to my boyfriend's house or go to my parents' house. And if my boyfriend wasn't going to be around, I would definitely be with my roommate or with my family. I just always had someone with me. I grew up in a family, so I had siblings, and I was never really alone there. I wasn't an only child. I even shared a bedroom for many years. So I did not know what it was like to be alone in my own presence. And when I went through this breakup, at the end of my sophomore year, I moved on, of course, like summer, and then junior year, I moved in with a new roommate. And this was my first apartment, and the roommate that I had my junior year worked a lot, and she had family farther away than my family, so sometimes I would have to be alone. And it even just started with when she would be at work for hours and I would be at home. I felt so anxious being alone. And when I came to terms with that, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even be by myself in my own presence. Like, it was kind of shocking to me. I didn't realize how intense it was. And I was like, wow, okay. So I started, obviously, I had to practice being alone. And this was a practice, but before long, I ended up loving my own presence. And it was one of the things that empowered me the most. Once I got comfortable being alone, taking myself out on dates, that's something else that I really practiced intentionally was, okay, I'm not comfortable being by myself, I need to practice. So I would take myself out to public places where there were other people, but I was still in my own space. I didn't have anyone with me, so I was eating at my own table, or I was walking through a park on my own, or I was even just sitting and reading a book by myself. Like, those were such baby steps, but I started doing those things more and more and more and more. And then at home, I would be by myself for hours on end. And by, I would say probably mid to end of junior year, I don't know exactly how long it took now, but I was loving my own space. I would seriously stay at my apartment instead of going back to my parents' house when my roommate went to visit her parents. And then I would go visit them a different time because I wanted to have that space and time to be by myself, because what ended up happening was I created this relationship with myself where I started getting more clear guidance, more clear downloads, and it felt so good within every single cell of my body once I got to that place. And I was journeying inwards a lot in this time period, and I would ask myself, what is meant to flow through me now? And I would just sit quietly in my balcony or my bedroom, and I would have an open journal with a pen, and I would just write whatever flowed through. And oftentimes I would get messages from my higher self. And yes, it was in my own writing. Yes, I was hearing the voice within my own being, but I knew that it was a higher version of myself. And I started to feel so at home with that presence, with that energy. And that was a huge stepping stone for me. And from there, once I got comfortable being in my own presence, I then again started widening my view and being more observant of what was around me, who was around me. And I think it was beginning to middle of my junior year, I started seeing these people that I didn't know on social media around my age, girls my age, doing some really incredible things. And I was like, never the type of person to reach out to someone that I didn't know on social media, but this really sparked something in me. Like when I saw them, I couldn't not reach out because I was so inspired by the life that they were living at my age, the financial abundance that they had, the travel freedom that they had, the experiences that they were having. I was just in awe. And I reached out to them and I started having conversations with people that were halfway around the world. But those conversations started giving me the codes, if you will, for what was possible for me. Now, I didn't follow in their exact footsteps or do exactly what they were doing to get where they were, but seeing them build the life of their dreams, seeing them jump headfirst into really huge, amazing opportunities and experiences that were way outside of my comfort zone, gave me the courage to start to believe that that was possible for me too. And this was right around the time that COVID hit as well. So I think COVID might have even hit a bit before this, I'm not sure, but COVID hit and I had a lot more time with myself, as many of us did. And I really dove into myself, building practices with myself. I built a really, really strong gratitude practice. I read the book The Magic. If you haven't read that book, I highly recommend it. I'll put the title and the author in the description below, but that book changed my life. Single-handedly, that book changed my life, along with so many other things, but that was huge. And after reading that book, I created this really strong gratitude practice, like I said, which started allowing me to feel the energy of gratitude, embody gratitude, and bring more opportunities towards me. So how it works is our energy is basically like a magnet. Whatever energy we're radiating determines what our magnet is pulling towards it. So when you're radiating gratitude and you're radiating joy and happiness and abundance and fulfillment, you start drawing towards you more experiences that hold those energies, more experiences that will bring you more of that same energy. And this, like I said, was such a huge turning point in my life because as I was embodying that, I started to believe that I could manifest whatever it was that I desired because I am just an example of my vibration. My life is a depiction of what I am vibrating. And so gratitude empowered me so much. And I also, around that time, because I had so much free time, so much space to be with myself, I started asking myself, what is it that I want? What do I want to do when I wake up? I don't have to rush to class because classes were online. I don't have to rush to my job because my job is online. I have more time in the morning. And I started creating a really conscious and dedicated morning routine. So I would wake up, I would read my book, whether it be The Magic or whatever other book I was reading. I think I read 12 books that year because I was just really diving into my self growth, and I can even put some of those titles below because each one of them was a stepping stone for me. But I would read when I woke up in the morning, and then I would do 30 minutes of yoga. I would meditate, I would ground, and then I would make myself a really intentional breakfast. And this is something else. I started asking my body what it wanted to eat. And when I started asking my body that question, I was shocked at what answer I would sometimes get back. And this also came from some of the books that I was reading, but I never thought to ask my body what it wanted to eat until this time period. And once I did, it actually drastically changed my entire eating habits from that point on. From that point in my junior year, I have never eaten the same since because I still practice this, and also I have a totally different eating habit now. And for me, I'm not saying that this is right or wrong for anyone else, but for me that looked like a lot less meat, a lot less dairy, a lot less gluten, a lot less sugar, and a lot more vegetables, a lot more fruit. And I started seeing huge side effects in the way that my stomach felt, bloating, my periods, even my skin and my moods. So this is where a lot of my confidence and I let go of all my anxiety. Like, anxiety was no longer relevant to me around this time period because of, I truly believe everything that I was moving through was up-leveling me and bringing me out of this place of anxiety and depression into this place of radiating gratitude and happiness and joy and feeling safe within my own presence. So those are just some of the things that I moved through, but I truly was learning the importance of investing in myself. This is one of the biggest tips that I can give you. So if you're writing down any of the tips that I've shared so far, I'm just going to do a quick overview. I would say learning to be with yourself, if this is not something that you're comfortable with yet, and journeying inwards to ask yourself what is meant to flow through you. Allowing yourself to be inspired by others and viewing others as an opportunity to claim the reality that they're living as an opportunity or a possibility for you. So seeing something that you really admire out in the world, like, wow, they have a really amazing relationship. And let's say you're looking for an amazing relationship. Instead of being sad or jealous of their amazing relationship, I want you to claim for yourself, like a menu that the universe is presenting to you. I want that. I want that amazing relationship. And that's what I did with those girls that I mentioned. I saw them living a life that I had never witnessed before. And I said, I want that. I want that time freedom. I want that flexibility. I want that abundance. I want that joy. And so start looking at everything that's around you as an opportunity for you to say yes to yourself, to see what others are embodying and what examples they're putting out into the world that you want to own for yourself. And then I would say a gratitude practice is very strong, something that can shift you completely. And then asking your body what it wants to eat is so huge. And now we're on to learning the importance of investing in ourselves. And this one was a big one. I know that I've probably said that about all of them, but truly, as I look back, I'm like, wow, each step, each little moment, each opportunity was so big in coming to where I am now. But when I learned the importance of investing in myself, it changed my relationship around money. So I've always been very blessed. I've been very fortunate to always have enough money, but I still have that conditioning, and many of us do, from our parents' lineage or our grandparents' lineage, or maybe we don't even know where it comes from. Maybe it comes from society, but feeling like I don't want to spend my money. We almost feel like we have to hang on to our money. We have to hoard our money. We have to build up our money to one day use it for something, maybe when we retire, or just to pay our bills. But when I learned the importance around investing in myself, and I really got a healthy relationship with money, I realized that by investing in myself, spending money on myself for healings, for activations, for trainings, for even taking care of myself, like getting a spa treatment, buying organic food, whatever it may be, whatever you feel like you really need or your heart is calling you towards, and it has a price tag on it, being so thankful for the money that you have to invest in yourself and saying, thank you, thank you, thank you for this money that I get to spend on myself to better myself, and may it always come back to me tenfold. And knowing and truly knowing that it will, because money is just energy. Money is an energy exchange. So when we're exchanging money for a service or a good or a product or an experience, we're showing the universe that I value this thing. I value myself enough to put this energy into myself towards this purchase. And when I do that, the universe says, I'm so proud of you for investing in yourself. I am going to give you more so that you can continue investing in yourself and bettering yourself and up-leveling yourself more and more and more and more. Money is truly unlimited. When we have this mindset around it that I am investing in myself, I am grateful for what I have to invest in myself, then that gratitude, that vibration of honoring ourselves, investing in ourselves, loving ourselves, brings towards us more money for us to continue doing these things. And so I really started heavily investing in myself. I invested in a mastermind course where I learned so much about the way that our minds work, about spirituality, around money mindset actually. I just really soaked up a lot of knowledge in that program. I also invested in a lot of healings, spiritual healings, to release the things that I didn't even know existed within me. I also attended a lot of spiritual events, whether it be small drum circles or big festivals. I invested my personal money into these experiences because I knew that by attending them and by having that environment around me, it would up-level me. I invested in courses, and eventually I even invested in a coaching certificate where I became a spiritual life coach. I invested in building my website. I invested in so many different things that each one of those investments built up a piece within me so that I could see how much I had grown. I could feel how much I had grown, and I was becoming a new person with each investment because I was gathering tools that I needed to get to where I am today and to continue growing. And so I would strongly recommend consciously investing in yourself, and I would really say that this starts with healing your relationship around money. And there's many books, there's many ways that you can dive into healing your money mindset, but I'll even put a book recommendation down below for this. But it is so important for us to heal our mindset around money and have this healthy relationship with money so that we can continue to grow our own abundance in many different ways. So the next thing that, if you're taking notes on the steps that I took, the next one that I would write is taking time to tune in with your guidance. I have a conference call with my guides. I also do prayer where I call in all of my guides and all of my angels. So you can do it in whatever way works for you. But this was pivotal in my journey because I began to realize that all of the guidance I need lives within me, but I have to create the space to hear the guidance and to ask for help when I need it. And so for me, this looked like when I would go on walks around campus. So this was during COVID, and this is when I started my conference with my guides and my stronger, more regular communication with my divine team, as I call them. But I would go on like a 30-minute walk, and during the whole entire walk, I would sometimes verbally, because there was no one else around, I was on an empty campus, sometimes within my own, say it within my own mind, but I would call in all of my guides, my divine team. I would say, higher self, my angels, my guides, everyone working in alignment with my highest self on my divine team. I call you in now. And then I would wait and I would feel into their energy, their divine presence, because they are there. They are with you every single day, but they're only accessible and really available to you when you make the effort to connect with them. And I would go through anything that was on my mind and on my heart, whether it be something that I was trying to figure out the answer to or a decision I was trying to make, but most of all, setting my intentions and holding myself accountable with this divine team of mine that this is the life I am working towards. This is the life that I am building for myself. This is what I desire. And I would just verbalize all of my intentions, all of my wishes, all of my dreams. And I would ask them for their assistance. I would ask them for their guidance, for their help. And this became so comforting to me that I have continued it. And sometimes I even, if I'm driving and something's coming up where I feel like I need to talk out loud, I just get the voice memos app open on my phone and I start talking. And you would be surprised how even talking just to yourself or to your divine team can activate parts within yourself that are like light bulbs. And you all of a sudden start getting guidance or clues or insight into how you can move forward in your situation or in building your dream life. And this is so important because we truly hold all of our keys to our own heaven on earth within us. No one else holds those keys. Not our mom, not our dad, not our mentors, not our teachers, not our best friends. Although many of those people may give you what you deem good advice, they don't hold your keys to heaven on earth. You do, within you. And so when you consciously set the space and give yourself the time to tune inwards, to have these conversations with your higher self and your divine team, whether that be God, whether that be Source, whether that be your angels, whatever that is for you. I'm just giving you my personal examples. When you set that time and space to go inwards and have those conversations and hear the answers that are already within you, you would be surprised as to how clear those answers may be and to how comforting they may feel. More comforting than any other person can make you feel, because let's be real, let's be honest. If I go to someone and I ask them for advice and they give me advice, but it's not really the advice I wanted, I'm probably not going to follow it right away. If I go to someone else and see, is this person going to give me the same advice? And let's say they do. They give me the same advice, but I'm still not ready. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not going to just do it. Not yet. So I go to someone else and they give me similar advice. Or let's say they give you different advice. Now you're even more confused and you're like, yeah, I'm really not moving forward because I just don't know. Everyone's giving me different answers, or they're giving me the answers that I don't want. You're not going to jump in, move forward until you feel within yourself that it's the right choice for you. And that's how it should be. We should only be moving forward based on our true innate knowing of, is this right for me or not? So as often as we look outside of ourselves for help and guidance, we don't always truly use it or move forward based on it. We just are comforted by it and it's the norm. So we're used to looking to someone outside of ourselves for help. But we really want to feel within ourselves that it's the right answer. That's the feeling we're looking for when we go to those people. So instead of going to those people, I invite you to go within yourself, to ask your higher self, to ask the God within you what is right for you. And when you feel it for yourself, it makes it more of a hell yes. And you will run into that decision because you'll know in your body that it's right for you. So create that time and space to have those conversations with yourself, to feel the guidance that comes from within you. What else came up for me? So not only did I invest in myself, I had conferences with my guides, I was asking my body what it wanted to eat, I was building gratitude practices, I was journeying inwards and asking what was meant to flow through me. I was truly just overall, this whole path. This is like probably a year so far of like what I'm telling you, what came up within me during that first year. It was all about building trust within myself, building a relationship within myself, and creating the space that I really needed to thrive. Then it got fun. Now, it was really fun during that whole time. Honestly, I was probably the happiest, most energized, most like joyful that I had ever been, because I felt so in alignment with who I am and my higher self, because I had the practices that were allowing me to foster that connection and to really feel the guidance, to feel the totality of who I am. Because during COVID, all of that outside noise kind of disappeared. We didn't have all of our teachers or our friends or our coworkers or our bosses right there filling all of our space with their noise. So I'm really grateful for the time and space that I had during that period. But then I started feeling the call to share more of my story on social media. Now, this isn't necessarily the right next step for everyone on their spiritual awakening, but for me, it was very important because I actually had to start verbalizing everything that was coming up within me. And in doing so, I actually further believed it myself. So, for example, when I would go through a lesson or I would go through a teaching moment and I would have that aha, I would share it on social media, and it would even be deeper ingrained within me after verbalizing it. And I think for a lot of us, this is really, it doesn't have to be on social media, but it's about speaking our truth, activating our throat chakra, and really honoring ourselves enough to verbalize all that we are, to verbalize our truth and stand powerfully in it and put ourselves out into the world. So yes, you can go through a lot of internal work when you're kind of a hermit and you're in that space, you have your own little bubble. But this was me putting myself out into the world as this new, improved, grown version of myself. And that allowed me to grow more because it kind of built my momentum. Like, okay, I'm going through all of these things, but now I'm going to share them with others. And by activating my throat chakra, sharing with others, I was surprised by how many other people were going through similar things, or they were inspired by my words, kind of like I was inspired by those girls to live a life that I desired. And so others were now being inspired by me. And this felt so reassuring, but not even reassuring. It was kind of reflecting back to me who I am, what I am, in the service that I am capable of providing, not only by sharing on social media, but by just being me and by living in alignment with my highest self and embodying all that I am. That is worthy of me recognizing it. I have to see myself for who I am. And so this was really huge for me as well. And then from there, I was approaching the end of my senior year. So I was feeling like, okay, now's the time where most people will go out and start looking for jobs in their degree that they just earned. But I had, again, this gut feeling come up within me that said, I don't want a job within this degree. As I looked at the many different job titles that were available to me, although I had a stellar resume and I had graduated summa cum laude, where I was about to graduate summa cum laude, I had tons of experience and amazing references. I could really get any job in my degree, in my line of work that I wanted. But the key was I didn't want that. And so I remember I think it was actually the summer between my junior and senior years when I first realized it, because I was at an internship and every day I was dreading showing up to this internship. And I was like, what the heck? Like, this feels torturous to have to go there every day. And that was my first clue. So as I was sitting at my internship, the summer between my junior and senior year is actually when I started Googling. My mind, my body, my soul was just so craving spiritual schools, spiritual courses, spiritual jobs. I was like, didn't know what I wanted, but I knew that I didn't want this, and I knew that I had to somehow find something else that was more aligned with who I am and what I am and what my true desire and passion is. So I spent that whole summer Google searching all of these different programs. I was like, maybe there's something out of state, maybe there's something that I can do to gain experience, maybe there's, I don't know. I was just open to anything that was more aligned with what I felt inside than the degree that I had just earned. So then I went back, I finished my senior year, still journeying inwards a lot. And I remember towards the last couple months of my senior year, every single night as I would say my prayers, I would visualize in my body, feeling how excited I was by the opportunity that was about to be presented to me. Now, I had no idea what that was. I desperately wanted to know what it was. But I knew that in order to move on from this chapter of my life, which was college, I needed to move into something else that was more aligned with who I am and what I desire, but I didn't know what this was. So instead of trying to figure it out like I did during the summer, I realized that's not going to work because I'm not figuring it out. Nothing's just like all of a sudden appearing before me that I'm like, yes, this is it. So I cannot figure it out in my human mind, but I can ask my guides, I can ask God to please show me the perfect next step. And so as I would say my prayers, I would visualize my huge smile on my face, the excitement that I felt in my body, the just feeling that felt so good, so aligned, so joyful that this opportunity had been presented to me. And I knew with surety in my body that it would be. This is key. I believed that it would just be presented to me and I would know. And I've done this with a couple other things that I won't go into detail on during this video, but when you really dedicate yourself to feeling into whatever it is you want to manifest consistently, and you believe that it will manifest, you can't lose. It's going to happen. And so every single night, I can still see myself laying in that bed in my college apartment, feeling into how excited I would be when this opportunity was presented to me, and having no fear that after college, I wouldn't know what to do, because I knew I would know what to do. The perfect experience would be presented to me at the perfect time, right as I was graduating. I saw myself graduating college and moving into this amazing experience that I was going to love and enjoy, and that would empower me and help me to grow and expand. And this is what I would do. I would write about it. I would feel it every single night. And this is the best part. I was writing one of my final papers my senior year. It was my final paper. I was writing. Well, actually I was typing on my laptop, but you know what I mean. And I, in those days, used to put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and then I would put it on the ground so that I wouldn't even see it in my awareness to be distracted by it and pick it up. But as I was writing this paper, I kept feeling I need to look at my phone. I need to look at my phone. I need to look at my phone. And I was like, no, Nicole, stay focused, finish this paper. And I would write for a little bit longer, and then I would have this urge to like pick up my phone. And I had no idea like that it was actually an internal guidance urge. So I was trying to push it away. The third time that it came up, I was like, fine, I'm going to look at my phone. I don't care. I will finish this paper one way or the other, but I guess I'm going to go on my phone for a little bit. Picked up my phone, and it said exactly 10 minutes ago, which is probably how long I had been pushing away those urges. This person on social media had went live talking about Dharma Coaching Institute, which is the institute where you can get certified as a spiritual life coach. And I was like, what? And so I picked it up, I clicked on it, and I was like, I got this notification. So of course I clicked on it, and then I was watching the video of her talking about this institute, and she was getting ready to welcome her first batch of students to get this to get this certification where you could become a spiritual life coach. She talked about what it would entail, what what we would be learning about, how we would be getting certified and getting all the teaching and training onto how to start the business. And not only would we be learning how to become spiritual life coaches, but we would go through coaching in the process with a spiritual life coach so that we could unpack some of our own hidden shadows and things that we needed to work through in order to become ready to hold that space as a coach. And basically I was salivating. I was like, I need this in my life. I know that I'm meant to be a spiritual life coach. I know that I would be great at this. I know that I'm going to enjoy every single course, every single class. And I immediately went to the website to see like how much it was. And it was, of course, a few $1,000s. And so I was like calling my mom immediately. I was like so excited. I knew in every cell of my being that this is what I'm going to do next. This is my next right step. I called my mom and she was kind of busy, but I was like, oh my gosh, Mom, I'm so excited, blah, blah, blah. I told her the story and I told her it's this much money. I don't know how I'm going to pay for it, but I know that I need to do it. And she was like, okay, can we talk about this later? I'm so excited for you, but I'm busy right now. And I was like, yeah, sure. Before she even called me back, you guys, I had purchased my spot in the Institute. I had paid the money. And because I had already went through that training, because I had already went through the practices of building up my relationship around money, feeling worthy within myself, trusting myself, knowing what a gut feeling feels like, knowing how energy works, how vibration works, I was so confident. I knew I can do this. I'm investing in myself. It's done. And so my mom calls me back and I'm like, oh yeah, I already did it. Like I'm in. And the best part is I manifested the money that I needed. And so I wasn't out. Like that's another story too. But like the money that I needed was there for me when I needed it. And so even though I had like used my credit card to purchase my spot in the Institute, I ended up receiving the money that I needed later. And so I wasn't in the negative. I was good. And that's how you trust, by the way. That's how you trust that you're going to be caught by the universe every single step of the way. You just know. And when you embody that knowing, it has no choice but to show up for you. And here is the biggest kicker of it all. The course started the day that I graduated. So I went to my college graduation, flipped my tassel, got all excited, celebrated, went out to dinner with my family. The first class was that night. And I was blown away by how I had brought this into my reality. All those nights of visualizing this perfect transition from college into my next step. And I was like, holy shit, it does not get any more real than this, any more magical than this. And I went through that entire process, and that also really gave me a lot of the tools, a lot of the practices, a lot of the growth that I needed to get to where I am today. And all of those experiences have raised my vibration and been a stepping stone on my journey. And so I share all of this with you to say, if you are going through your spiritual awakening, no matter what part of the process you are currently in, and you're maybe feeling frustrated, or you're maybe feeling like, how am I ever going to get into my dream reality where I am embodying my higher self 100% of the time and I'm living out my soul's purpose and I'm so happy and everything's right with the world? My message to you is enjoy the process, because that is truly where the magic lies. Every single step holds its gifts. Every single opportunity, person, place, thing that you come into contact with holds either a lesson, an opportunity, but overall just a gift for you to keep moving forward on your path. And our soul's path is just that. It's a path. It's not a destination. Yes, we have a purpose, but our purpose can be expressed in many different ways throughout our soul's path. It's not like one day we arrive at this end destination that is a job or a title. That's 3D. That's how the world that we're used to works. But this world that we're transitioning into, as we walk walk our ascension path is much different. And so it's becoming comfortable with the process and the journey, because that is your ascension. It is the journey of you ascending from this to this. You're coming into your higher self, but it doesn't happen overnight. It happens with each step that you take, each moment that you choose to trust and have faith and honor, acknowledge, and be grateful for everything that is happening for you. I'm so grateful that I went through that breakup, although it was arguably one of the hardest things I've ever had to physically do. It was also the biggest gift in my life, or one of the biggest gifts, because it jump started and it really propelled me into this process, into this entire experience that I am currently living. And in that relationship, although we were in love and two beautiful people, I know that I wouldn't have had this same experience while being in that relationship. So sometimes we don't understand why things need to happen while they're happening, but know that your higher self is always orchestrating everything for you. Everything is already perfectly laid out for you to walk into. There is no time, there's no present, past, and future. It's all happening simultaneously. I know that's really hard for our minds to comprehend, but it's the truth. And so, yes, you're in this now moment, but the future is already beautiful. It's already laid out for you, as long as you just keep trusting and walking with faith into it. So I hope that me sharing my personal story, some of the details of what I've moved through, has been helpful or insightful for you. If you have any questions or you want to share in the comments below, I would love to hear from you about your own journey, about maybe questions that you have on your journey, or if this video was helpful. I love you guys all so much, and I will see you soon.